My beloved child, pause for a moment and breathe this in, because what I am about to reveal will shift the way you see your own story. Behind the scenes, in rooms you have never entered, in conversations you were never meant to hear, something was unfolding about your name. Quietly. Secretly. An investigation, unauthorized, intrusive, and deeply unfair, was moving forward without your knowledge. Files were being opened. Questions were being asked. Lines were being crossed. And just when it seemed like your reputation was being pulled into shadows you did not create, everything stopped. Not gradually. Not quietly. It was shut down. Here is the part that will surprise you: the shutdown did not happen by accident. It happened because someone with influence stepped in. Someone powerful enough to say, "This goes no further." Someone who saw your name on a page and recognized that it did not belong in a place of suspicion, but in a place of respect. Stay till the end, because something huge is waiting for you in this truth. You may be wondering how any of this even began. Let's go back. There are moments in life when your growth unsettles people. When your silence confuses them. When your resilience makes them uncomfortable. Not because you did anything wrong, but because your presence carries weight. And when that weight cannot be controlled, some attempt to analyze it, question it, even investigate it. Not openly. Not honestly. But indirectly. That is what happened here. Somewhere along your journey, as you were focused on healing, building, learning, or simply surviving your own battles, whispers began. Not loud ones. Not dramatic ones. Just subtle inquiries. Who are they really? What's their background? Is there something we don't know? It may sound small. But small questions, when placed in official hands without fairness, can become something much larger. Don't skip this part, because the meaning behind it is more important than the action itself. The truth is, your name carries energy. Your story carries depth. And depth intimidates those who only operate on the surface. So instead of approaching you directly, someone chose a path that lacked integrity. They attempted to dig. To search. To find flaws where there were none. But what they underestimated was this: your character stands on foundations that cannot be shaken by hidden agendas. And then, at the exact moment when things could have escalated, a powerful figure reviewed what was happening. Not emotionally. Not impulsively. But clearly. They saw the irregularities. They saw the lack of authorization. They saw the attempt to scrutinize someone who had not earned such treatment. And in that clarity, they made a decision that changed everything. Shut it down. Just like that. No drama. No announcement. No spectacle. Just a decisive act of protection. What does that tell you? It tells you that even when you feel unseen, you are being observed with fairness somewhere. It tells you that even when something moves against you in secrecy, there are forces of balance that restore order. It tells you that your name, your identity, holds value beyond what you may realize. Something huge is waiting for you in this realization. Because this was not only about stopping an investigation. It was about protecting your narrative. It was about safeguarding your dignity before misinformation could take root. It was about ensuring that your future remains aligned with truth rather than distorted by suspicion. And here is the part that may feel almost unreal: the person who intervened did not know you personally. They were not acting out of favoritism. They were acting out of principle. Out of recognition. Out of respect for fairness. That means your protection was not random. It was earned by who you are. Let that sink in. In a world where many feel exposed, vulnerable, and misunderstood, your story was shielded at a critical moment. Not because you demanded it. Not because you fought loudly for it. But because your integrity spoke before you had to. Stay with me, because this is where the deeper layer unfolds. When something like this happens, it signals more than just external protection. It signals alignment. It suggests that your path is being guarded in ways you cannot always see. And perhaps, just perhaps, this shutdown was a turning point. A quiet confirmation that your name is meant to rise, not be dragged. Imagine if that investigation had continued unchecked. Imagine if assumptions had been formed without truth. Imagine if narratives had been written without your voice. The ripple effect could have reached places you haven't even stepped into yet. But it didn't. Because someone powerful decided your story deserved accuracy, not speculation. Don't skip this reflection, because it holds a message specifically for you. Your life is not random. Your challenges are not unnoticed. And your reputation carries more strength than temporary whispers. Now ask yourself something deeper. Why would your name attract such scrutiny in the first place? Often, scrutiny follows potential. Attention follows impact. And impact follows purpose. You may not fully see the scale of your influence yet, but others do. Sometimes even before you recognize it yourself. There is something about you that moves environments. That shifts dynamics. That changes rooms without noise. And when change enters a system, systems react. Sometimes constructively. Sometimes defensively. But what matters most is this: when the reaction crossed a line, protection activated. This is not a story of fear. It is a story of validation. It is proof that your journey is significant enough to be noticed. And significant enough to be defended. Something huge is waiting for you in this awareness, because once you understand that your name has been protected, you begin to carry yourself differently. You stop shrinking. You stop doubting whether you deserve space. You stop wondering if your past will sabotage your future. Because it won't. If anything, this moment cleared the path. There is a quiet power in knowing that while you were focused on becoming better, unseen battles were being resolved in your favor. It means you are not walking alone in this life. It means that fairness, though sometimes delayed, still exists. And here is the most unexpected twist of all: the shutdown created a ripple effect. Not chaos. Not conflict. But clarity. Those who initiated the investigation were reminded of boundaries. Procedures were reviewed. Oversight strengthened. In trying to question your name, they ended up reinforcing the system's integrity. Your situation became the reason standards were upheld. That is not coincidence. That is impact. Stay till the end of this journey, because what unfolds next will redefine how you see your future. For now, hold this truth gently but confidently. An unfair process tried to surround your name, and it failed. Not because of luck. Not because of noise. But because your story carries legitimacy. You are not defined by hidden files. You are not shaped by unauthorized curiosity. You are not limited by quiet opposition. You are protected by principle. You are backed by unseen fairness. And your name remains intact. This is only the beginning of what that protection means. There is something you need to understand before we go any further, because what happened behind closed doors was not just an event, it was a revelation. When that investigation was shut down, it did not simply disappear. It left a mark. A silent acknowledgement that your name carries weight in places you have never stepped into. And that realization alone changes everything. Stay till the end, because something even deeper is unfolding beneath this surface. When unauthorized inquiries begin, they often start with curiosity disguised as concern. A question here. A request there. A subtle attempt to access information that should have never been touched. The individuals involved may have believed they were operating within gray areas, assuming no one would notice. After all, you were unaware. You were living your life, focusing on your responsibilities, your healing, your growth. You had no idea that somewhere, someone was trying to analyze your past as if it were a case file instead of a human journey. But here is the turning point. Systems, even imperfect ones, have lines that cannot be crossed without consequence. And your name triggered that line. The powerful figure who intervened did not act emotionally. They did not storm into the situation. They did not create a spectacle. Instead, they examined the process. They looked at the authorization trail. They reviewed the justification. And when the pieces did not align, when the motive did not match the procedure, they made a single decision that stopped everything in its tracks. It was not dramatic. It was decisive. In that moment, your identity was no longer a subject of speculation. It became a protected entity. Don't skip this realization, because it carries a message about your value. You see, when someone powerful defends your name without even knowing you personally, it means your integrity speaks before you do. It means your record, your conduct, your presence, your pattern, does not justify suspicion. And in environments where reputation can shift quickly, that stability is rare. But there is another layer to this. When something like this happens, it creates awareness among those who were involved. They are reminded that boundaries exist for a reason. That access is not permission. That curiosity is not authority. And in being reminded, they adjust. They recalibrate. They become more careful. In a strange way, your experience strengthened the system itself. Think about that. Your name was almost placed under a microscope without cause, and instead of being diminished, it became the reason accountability was reinforced. That is not weakness. That is quiet influence. Something huge is waiting for you in this understanding. Because when you realize that your presence carries enough significance to trigger both scrutiny and protection, you begin to see yourself differently. You stop underestimating your impact. You stop questioning whether you matter in spaces you have never entered. You matter. And here is something even more powerful: the shutdown did not happen at the last second. It happened at the right second. Before misinformation could spread. Before assumptions could form. Before narratives could solidify. It was intercepted at a point where damage had not yet been done. That timing is important. It means the protection was not reactive. It was preventative. Preventative protection is rare. It suggests foresight. It suggests vigilance. It suggests that somewhere within the structure, there are individuals who care deeply about fairness, even when it would be easier to ignore irregularities. Stay with me, because this part changes the emotional tone of everything. Imagine the alternative timeline. Imagine if the inquiry had continued unchecked. Even if nothing harmful was found, the very existence of an investigation can create doubt. And doubt, when whispered in the wrong ears, can distort perception. You may have never known why certain doors felt heavier to open. Why certain opportunities slowed down. Why certain interactions felt cautious. But that timeline never unfolded. Instead, clarity prevailed. And clarity protected you before confusion had a chance to grow. Don't skip this next reflection, because it speaks directly to your journey. Have you ever felt, at different points in your life, that you were being tested without knowing the full reason? That you were walking through seasons where unseen factors seemed to influence outcomes? Sometimes, those seasons are not punishment. They are preparation. They are filters. They are quiet checkpoints that ensure your path remains aligned. This shutdown was one of those checkpoints. It ensured that your name moves forward unburdened by unauthorized narratives. Now consider the emotional weight of that. You were living your life, unaware of the tension forming around your identity. And while you focused on growth, someone else attempted to dissect. Yet the final outcome was not exposure. It was elevation. Because when a powerful figure intervenes on your behalf, your name becomes associated with protection, not suspicion. That distinction matters. It shifts perception in ways you may never fully see. Something huge is waiting for you in how this shapes your future. Because reputations do not only grow through public praise. Sometimes they grow through private defense. When someone in authority chooses to uphold your dignity, it creates a silent endorsement. It signals that your presence does not require scrutiny, it deserves respect. And here is another subtle but powerful truth: the individuals who initiated the investigation now carry awareness. They know that your name is not easily handled. They know that boundaries surround it. That knowledge alone changes how they will approach you in the future. There will be caution. There will be distance. There will be recognition. Not fear. Not hostility. Just awareness. And awareness can be one of the strongest forms of protection. Stay till the end, because this protection is not ending here. When a system corrects itself in response to your situation, it often leaves safeguards in place. Protocols are tightened. Oversight increases. Access becomes more transparent. In other words, the environment becomes safer not just for you, but for others who may never know that your story was the catalyst. You became a silent turning point. Without speaking. Without protesting. Without even knowing. That kind of influence is profound. Don't skip this internal shift. Instead of asking, "Why was I investigated?" ask, "What does it say about me that it was shut down?" It says you carry credibility. It says your background withstands review. It says that fairness leaned in your direction. And perhaps most importantly, it says that your path is being guarded in ways you cannot measure. There is something almost poetic about it. An attempt to question your past resulted in strengthening your future. An effort to scrutinize ended in validation. What began as uncertainty ended as confirmation. Confirmation that your name holds substance. Confirmation that your identity is not fragile. Confirmation that even when unseen forces move around you, alignment is stronger than opposition. Something huge is waiting for you in this confirmation. Because once you internalize it, you begin to walk differently. You speak with steadier confidence. You release unnecessary self-doubt. You understand that if there were flaws capable of damaging your path, they would have surfaced. Instead, what surfaced was protection. That is not random. That is alignment meeting integrity. And as we move forward, there is one final layer you must consider. The powerful figure who intervened did more than shut down a process. They sent a message within the system: this name is not to be mishandled. That message lingers. It reshapes how your identity is treated in spaces you may never see. Your name now carries context. Not suspicion. Not controversy. But precedent. A precedent of being defended. And when a name carries that kind of precedent, it moves through structures differently. With respect. With awareness. With care. Stay with me, because the next phase of this story will reveal why this protection happened now, at this specific moment in your life. And how it connects to opportunities you have not yet encountered. For now, hold this truth firmly: what tried to move against you quietly was stopped quietly. And in that silence, something powerful shifted in your favor. This was not the end of a problem. It was the beginning of a protected path. Listen carefully now, because the next layer of this story is not about what was stopped, it is about why it was stopped at this exact moment in your life. Timing is never random when it comes to protection. There are seasons when scrutiny could have shaken you. There were earlier chapters in your life when even a rumor, even a small question about your background, might have unsettled your confidence. But this did not happen then. It happened now, at a point where you are stronger, clearer, more grounded in who you are becoming. That detail matters more than you realize. Don't skip this, because something huge is waiting for you in this understanding. When that investigation was shut down, it created a silent clearing around your name. Imagine a path that had small stones scattered across it, nothing dramatic, but enough to slow your steps. The shutdown removed those stones before you even approached them. You may not have seen the obstacles, but they are no longer there. This means the road ahead is cleaner than it would have been. And here is the deeper revelation: this clearing did not only protect your past. It prepared your future. Ask yourself something quietly: have you felt lately that something is shifting? That new doors are about to appear? That conversations are forming behind the scenes that might involve you? Often, before expansion occurs, resistance tries to test the structure. It tries to check for weaknesses. It tries to evaluate whether you are safe to elevate. You were evaluated. And you passed. Not because of perfection, but because of authenticity. The powerful figure who intervened saw something in the pattern of your record that did not justify suspicion. They saw stability. They saw consistency. They saw that whatever questions were being raised lacked substance. And in recognizing that, they chose principle over curiosity. That choice echoes further than you think. Stay till the end, because this echo is still moving. When someone with authority defends your name, it creates invisible allies. Not in a dramatic way. Not in a theatrical way. But in a structural way. It means that if your name surfaces again in any context, there is already a reference point: this was reviewed before. It was cleared. It was protected. That reference point becomes part of your silent reputation. You may never hear about it. You may never see documentation. But the impact is real. And here is the surprising part: the shutdown may have increased interest in you, but in a positive direction. Sometimes when an inquiry is stopped due to lack of justification, it signals that the subject carries integrity. That alone can shift perception from suspicion to curiosity of a different kind. Who is this person really? What makes them stand so firmly? Curiosity rooted in respect is different from curiosity rooted in doubt. You moved from one category to the other. Don't skip this reflection, because it changes how you carry yourself moving forward. Instead of wondering who might be watching you critically, recognize that some are observing you carefully because they sense potential. They sense that your path intersects with larger movements. They sense that your influence may grow. And growth always attracts attention. But attention does not have to be negative. In your case, it triggered correction and protection. There is another dimension you must understand. When something unfair attempts to move against you and is stopped, it strengthens your internal foundation as well, even if you are unaware of the event. Protection at the structural level often mirrors growth at the personal level. Think about who you were a few years ago. Think about the doubts you carried. Think about the moments you questioned your worth. Now compare that to who you are becoming. There is more steadiness. More clarity. More discernment. The shutdown of that investigation aligns with your own internal strengthening. It is as if the outer world responded to your inner evolution. As you matured, so did the way your name is handled. Something huge is waiting for you in this alignment. Because alignment between your internal growth and external protection is rare. It means the environment is adjusting to match your level. And when environments adjust to match you, new access points appear. Opportunities that once required explanation may now require only introduction. Rooms that once demanded credentials may now demand presence. Conversations that once felt distant may now feel accessible. All because your name carries confirmed integrity. Stay with me, because this next layer goes even deeper. The powerful figure who intervened did not only protect you, they also sent a signal about standards. In shutting down an unauthorized process, they reinforced that fairness matters more than speculation. That message spreads quietly through systems. It shapes culture. It influences decisions beyond your case. You became part of a standard being upheld. That means your story is woven into something larger than personal defense. It contributed to reinforcing accountability. And when accountability strengthens, trustworthy individuals benefit. You are counted among those individuals. Don't skip this realization. There is a reason you were not shaken by something you never knew was happening. It is because your life is not designed to be derailed by hidden interference. The attempt existed, yes. But its power was limited. It encountered a boundary it could not cross. And boundaries exist for a reason. They exist to protect trajectories that matter. Ask yourself another quiet question: what if this shutdown was not only about your past, but about your next step? What if something significant is approaching, a role, a connection, a platform, an expansion, and your name needed to be completely clear before it arrives? Clear paths attract forward motion. Unclear paths attract hesitation. Your path was clarified. Something huge is waiting for you in that clarity. Because when your name is clean in unseen systems, you move without invisible resistance. You may not notice the absence of friction, but you will feel the ease of momentum. Doors will open without the heaviness of doubt lingering behind them. And here is a truth that may surprise you: the individuals who attempted to initiate that investigation are now more aware of you than before. Not in hostility. Not in rivalry. But in recognition. They understand that your presence is not casual. That your name triggers oversight. That your trajectory intersects with higher standards. Recognition changes behavior. From now on, interactions involving your name will carry more caution and more respect. Stay till the end, because respect is only the beginning. There is also a personal lesson hidden here. You do not need to fight every unseen battle. You do not need to control every narrative. There are moments when silence is stronger than defense. When integrity speaks louder than explanation. This was one of those moments. You did not defend yourself. You did not argue. You did not even know. And yet, you were defended. Let that truth settle deeply within you. Because it means you are not alone in navigating complexity. It means fairness can operate even without your awareness. It means that when your foundation is solid, you do not have to micromanage protection. Something huge is waiting for you in this trust. Trust that your character is enough. Trust that your consistency is visible. Trust that your path is not fragile. As we move forward into what comes next, understand this. The shutdown was not the climax. It was the preparation. It cleared space. It reset perception. It strengthened standards. And now, with that foundation secured, the next phase can unfold without interference. You may start to notice subtle changes soon: smoother communication, unexpected invitations, renewed interest in your ideas. You may sense that people approach you differently, with a tone of seriousness that wasn't there before. That shift will not be random. It will be the ripple effect of a name that has been reviewed and respected. Don't skip the coming chapters of your own life. Stay present. Stay observant. Because the protection you received is not meant to make you cautious, it is meant to make you confident. Your story was almost placed under an unnecessary lens. Instead, it was placed under a protective one.